To see that everyone is already here. GM, Pedro, Pipkin, Marianne, Julia, your name, Jack, Anna Builder, Clocky, Blue. I'm gonna start. Thank you. I just want to make sure. I don't know, like this couple of days I've been having some issues. I don't know if it's Discord, if it's my internet connection. So good to know that you're hear me well. Well, today is our 31st AVC Subcommittee meeting, and we're gonna focus, of course, on accessibility scope. I don't know if it's for me. I mean, for us, but this is kind of like the ones the scope that we have more struggles to proposals just because it lacks information, and so that is the complexity of this specific scope. So we were like trying to what could we add that it's relevant for this scope. So yes, just want to say I see someone typing. Oh yeah, it's right. Good. Just in case, I'm going to share our Notion with all the information. Perfect. Yes. For the record, members of the two ABC members of Sovereign Finance are present at the meeting. Yes, Latin and OX root. Thank you, Marianne. So this is our Sovereign Finance Notion. Okay. So we're gonna start with probably you have already seen in our post, in the forum post on our Discord as well. And so we have been thinking about this, about front end, that it's going to be like a way easier, like for people if they want to deploy or they want to interact with the core. So I'm going to start by explaining how we come up with this idea, and even like to ask you as the audience to let us know if this actually makes sense, if we are like this is not even relevant, or it's not viable, like yes. So we're going to focus on accessibility scope. If we go back to the scope, so this scope is basically to it's aiming to create user friendly, and as the name says, it needs to be accessible for its users, for its stakeholders. And so in the scope, it's kind of, it's not very in detail, there's not much information on this, but how Maker can become more accessible for the users. They mentioned, of course, the SUDAO front-end standards. They mentioned about the also the requirements, right? And we have I'm just gonna mention that we like sovereign finance AVC for the last quarter document. We have a proposal on this if you haven't checked. And okay, so talking about sub-DAOs, and one of the purposes one a user that it's not an expert, that it's not a developer, or it's not that technical, and wants to interact with smart contract because, or maybe putting us in the worst scenario, case scenario, like something happened and it shuts down, and how can we, if we want to interact with the sub-DAO's front end or the core front end, um, and so okay, Maker, it's a decentralized protocol, but what about its front end? And that's why we put these two alternatives. So of course, you have Etherscan, right? Um, but this is not very user friendly. You need to have a level of knowledge to into smart contracts. So it's not really for everyone. And again, parting to the point that this particular scope, hey, GN, this particular scope, it's to make it more accessible. So that is the main reason why we came up with this idea. We kind of like evaluate different examples. We didn't know just look for oasis. We also were even thinking about and discussing about the Avid situation, although we decided at last, like we decided not to put it in the slides since there are certain things that we are not so sure. But I'm going to mention certain concerns that we have that we don't have that much clarity on to, and maybe any of the audience or any of the ecosystem actors could enlighten into this. So like how is first, so let's focus on Oasis. So their interface are open source, and for this reason they add like complexities to their development. um so in this particular example with Oasis, so what happens if they stop maintaining the interface or decide not to make it open source anymore? How do average users who are not skilled at interacting directly with their smart contract access MakerDAO? And we also previously had also come up with the example with Aave, but so okay, Spark, it's Aave's fork, right? But what was the situation in there? Like, did they need an a specific authorization for them to this fork to happen? Like, as far as we're concerned, of course, Spark or Aave receives some payment from Spark from time to time, right? But how does that work? That's why we decided not to put the example in here, because there are some, yeah, we don't have that much clarity onto this. So again, if you have any link that we can look into this, or you know how this work, you can put it in the chat. But these are the first examples that we put it, and then there are many more that I'm going to show you in the next slides. That's why if Maker it's a decentralized protocol, then also the interfaces for the core for the sub-DAOs must also be completely decentralized. And in the scope, there is some information into this, and it says that they need to be accessible from different instances. Otherwise, users end up depending on having technical knowledge to interact directly with smart contracts or on the goodwill of the third party front-end manager. And that's what we want to avoid. That's the whole point of this scope of accessibility. That's why the main goal is like to, even if users are not technical, even if they are, I mean, we do understand that do need a certain amount of knowledge when it comes to development, but you don't need to be an expert to kind of like interact with this. We're trying to be the more realistic as we can. So as a possible solution to this, a simple with minimal development, open source frontend will allow anyone to easily and quickly deploy an instance to access Maker Core. Again, we do realize that it actually someone needs to have a very certain, some knowledge, a little bit at least, when it comes to smart contracts. Okay, then we have a liquid example, and it's so Liquidity pioneered that decentralized frontends. It currently has more than 54 frontends. Frontend operators can run a frontend efficiently with the frontend launch kit. They are rewarded for service with the LQTY token. Um, and then we have the Uniswap example. And they offer a swap widget that bundles the entire swap experience into a single React component that developers can easily integrate into their application with online of code. And so looking at this two example, that it actually, we can see that it works well and that it helps also the protocol, right? Why not do something similar to this with the core, with Maker? So the main idea that it's having a decentralized interface for the Maker Core, it's basically like if someone wants to, let's say, set up their own interface, they might need not so much like with a tutorial, they can do it on their own. So let's say that a user wants to interact with the core, but it's not an expert on on smart contracts, so they can easily deploy the front end with the help of a tutorial maybe, or like this way they can start engaging with Maker. And if you have way more experience, if you're like a you're a dev, or you're a tech savvy, or you are really into smart contracts, and then you can make modifications and you can even add more things to the front end, right? But yeah, the basic, it's to keep users interacting with the core. Now, to our understanding, with the launch of that sub-DAOs, it's supposed that the users are going to interact less with the core, of course, and because now there's going to be sub-DAOs for different specific tasks. And so but it's going to be like less interaction with the core, but there's still going to be. And so we have these questions. Could MakerDAO and SubDAOs have a frontend kit or widget so that anyone can quickly launch an instance to increase the resilience of the protocol? And then I think the next one is the one that we need more insights and feedback and really opinions on this, because maybe we have not seen the whole perspective, the general point of view of this, that in it's about the legal implications for Maker, like some illegal aspects that we're not seeing, that maybe our idea it's not viable for this reason, like for legal, because of the legal aspects. So does this have any legal implications for Maker? Could Maker storing the front end kits or which of its sub-DAOs lead to legal conflicts? If there is, it's Cognitus. When you say Maker Core, are you referring to the governance interfaces or the bolt interfaces? Yeah, the governance interfaces, the one that it's this is to the point where sub-DAOs are launched, and so they're not going to be that much interaction with the, or to our understanding is that way, not that much interaction as there is now. But even if there is, having kind of like this idea, right, to have a front end that it's easy to deploy. If it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, you can also tell me. And so this is when it comes to the second question, that it's the legal aspects. And then We believe this could also help the growth of the protocol and adoption of the new stable. Are we right? So, as if we see that there are people that are deploying the smart contract, well, of course, is going to is better for the protocol as well. Yeah, but on the second question, that it comes to the legal implications, yeah, we need. That's why this is a main idea. This is like idea that we come up with this scope. Cookie says, I think it's already planned. It's a centralized front end for participation in maker governance that all sub-DAOs must take. Oh yeah, but this is for sub-DAO. So this is something that we also discussed. So one is the sub-DAO's front end, and one is that core front end. And to my understanding, the core front end does not have a both interfaces. Okay, does not have the I'm reading it right now. Yes. So this idea is for to have a decentralized interface for the core. And yes, actually about that, Clucky, we also have a proposal in our last quarter document. Are the questions? I don't know if anyone has any feedback on into these. Thank you, Clucky, for your feedback and your questions. That really helps a lot. And I don't know if so far this is actually making any sense. That would also help. Toki says the ball engine will eventually be owned and controlled by a sub-DAO. So does this make any oh before we go into that? Yeah, as Axel mentioned, we understand that the front end of the sub-DAOs must be decentralized. Please, this is the moment to type your perspectives, your feedback. Even if you think that this is crazy or this is insane, this doesn't actually make sense. It helped us a lot. So please type your insights on this. When I read Marian's comment, we made a consultation suggestion, but we could not get more details due to the current. Actually, yes, we had for this meeting, this call, we actually were supposed to have Deadstream as a guest, and it was going to happen, but then no, because as Marian mentioned in the comment, we couldn't because of the lunch project, and there were like some ideas that they were need to be discussed still, so they could not tell us yet. But we are going to reach out one more time. I hope that I'm not into trouble for saying that we've been trying to have them like for many calls, but we're gonna try again. Marianne also says, but anyway, this idea extends to step DAOs whose frontends must also be decentralized or and downable for the user according to Atlas and MIP 108. I think I didn't mention, but yes, about the whole point of having a front end that it's downloadable. So Hockey says, I must confess that I remain somewhat perplexed regarding specific elements of this proposal that are not already encompassed within the existing plan. Okay, that's your point of view. Thank you, Hockey. I mean, we still need to work on this as well. Like, but that's why if most of you believe that this actually is not helping or does not make any sense, it's okay. We do understand. How yeah, we didn't have much options for this scope, and there's a necessity that we saw that there was like a lack of. So yeah, I don't want to go to the next part, since I believe that this is still, we're still like kind of like discussing into this. But please, if you need more info into this, or you prefer to reach out and give us just perspective, that also works for us, as long as we receive feedback. It's going to be really helpful. Once again, thank you, Clucky. And I think there are not more comments into this. I'm going to go to the. So we're going to talk about the next generation Atlas and Gate, and as you see that everything has changed one more time, so there won't be no more about the this first, and then the work that we were all doing is going to be like another dynamic, which since there is like the second call and now we have the third call with LB, we believe that this is a much better perception how the things are going. And I don't know if it's just for us, but it's really helpful to have like in specific tasks for AVC members, so we can know what can we bring into, and like what is our task. The more specific that it is way more helpful. So this is basically what happened in like the first call. And I saw, I think all of you were there, so I'm not gonna go into that. But the specific topics that for us are still, we have kind of like some doubts, and since some ecosystem actors, some alignment conservators that are, of course, facilitators and aligned delegates have more experience into this, has been working on, they can enlighten us. And there was a comment, if I'm not mistaken, that it'll be mentioned that prime delegates, they can be in the calls and give us their feedback. That's to my understanding that they mentioned about this. So yes, please, toward the work that we're going to be doing weekly, yes, that's going to be really helpful. We do want to, of course, to have the best task presented. So yes. Well, I'm gonna share this also with the post that it's here, just in case of, although I'm pretty sure that everyone has seen it. Okay. And this is regarding some of LB's posts. So new participants can register as an affiliate AVC member, and if their contributions are very high quality, they can earn participation rewards immediately in Q1 without needing to fulfill eligibility requirements for one whole quarter prior to Q1. I don't know how you feel about this. This is something new, right? So this is we put it into this slide since we also want to know your insights on into this. Then the highest quality AVC member submissions will qualify for participation rewards without consideration of total MKR held. And that's why, again, we are going to ask our ADs and all ecosystem actors that can give us feedback into our work, or please go ahead. ADs who generate high quality submissions will be recommended to run for delegation. Atlas Access will evaluate quality of submissions and coordinate with governance facilitators for purpose of ACE expectations and AVC exceptions under Gov 12. So this is like a very new dynamic. So far we're very believe that this is, I mean, LB has a lot of experience, and so far the meetings have been very, very extremely elaborated. And so I think this is the right path. And so yes, so please expect a lot from our work. What parameters with Atlas Access and the governance facilitators use to determine which work qualifies as a high quality and which does not? So this something that it's from the call from LB. It's that there is no like a right answer to this, right? This probably just something that LD mentioned is that I don't know if that's the right term, intuition. So, but how do you measure intuition, right? So I think that this is to our perspective, to my perspective, actually, it's going to be with the experience that they have, or with the experience that probably they're going to discuss also yesterday. They're going to recall about the delegates that did the best work when Rune was asked for the task, right? And so probably with that, but so far we know that LB is going to be the one that is going to be reviewing. And so, but yeah, this does not has clarity. But LB does not has clarity into this as well. Probably because this is all new. But yeah, this brings risks of subjectivity, unfairness, and centralization, and therefore misalignment, which is a break from the current logic of compensation of AVC members established by Atlas based on objective parameters. Who watched the watcher? I don't know if anyone has any comments on this. Are people are here joining LB as drafters? Oh, perfect, lucky. I think Igakai will. They are very excited into this. I'm saying that because of the Zoom call, the comments they make. But that's a good question, TV. Anybody else? No. Then we have. So this is our first big concern. We do not believe it's just us. And then, how will the working mechanisms between drafters and reviewers will be like even the interaction? Will the drafter choose which topics to work on, or will they be assigned? Also, we have in mind that some of these questions that might be answered in the upcoming calls. I think these are half the questions that we have before we have any call. So we are sure that some of them are going to be answered in the upcoming calls. And so far, it has clarified many of our questions. And sometimes, even when people ask questions, they're also like, "Oh yeah, this is a good point." So, would there be several teams working on the same topic, competing for the best quality, or will efforts be distributed among several topics in order to